Hello everyone, Kier here, and welcome to the InfiNOT podcast. I'm focused on the casual nature for the game, and each week I discuss the new patch, the new card, and my feelings on the game. Let's hop into it. First things first, I do have a little bit of a plug here. I was recently invited onto Joe's podcast, Snap Decisions, so if you want to see me talking to another host that knows his stuff, you can definitely check that out. And if you haven't found an alliance you like already, you should definitely check out the InfiNOTs. We have a lot of open slots, and we have a really awesome community. Shout out to Winky Face and all the other people that are a part of that. I love our little group. It's awesome. And let's get into the changes that are relevant this week. Beginning with the updates that happened on the 26th, with the OTA that happened. It's a mixed bag. I don't love everything in here, but I think a lot of these changes, are warranted. Starting off, Hela obviously has been really powerful as of late. I spoke on Joe's pod and said that, I do think that she's very strong, but she's not the strongest thing you can do right now. It's just she's easy to play, so people are engaging in that. She is now a 6/7 that says resurrect all cards you discarded to random locations with -3 power. This used to do -2. Now, obviously, a lot of these Hela decks are running Luke Cage in order to get that bonus power. But, assuming that you have like an Enchantress in your deck or even a Red Guardian, it should be pretty easy to disable it. And if they discard it, then it's really not that different from what Hela usually does anyway. I don't know why they felt like they needed to compensate Hela with the 6/7 body. Like, her whole thing is the things that she discards, and she already has 6 power. So I don't know. It feels weird to me that you give Hela a 6/7, but then Spectrum is still a 6/6. Like, I just don't feel like the two are comparable in terms of the power output, but what do I know? Another change that happened was Marvel Boy went from a 3/2 to a 3/1. And that's pretty fair. Marvel Boy, I think we all read the stats and we were like, okay, that's nuts. And it is. It's nuts. It's crazy. So making it more in line with something like a Patriot because of the power output, it makes sense. War Machine was also brought from a 4/7 to a 4/6. And again, this makes sense. You're putting a lot of stats on the board. And this doesn't necessarily stop the combo with Storm, which is really annoying, but I mean, that's an outlier. I understand it doesn't happen every game, so just something to keep in mind. They might have to figure out something about that. Another change that was in the same vein, Symbiote Spider-Man went from a 4/6 to a 4/7, and this is, I think, more than fine. I feel like Symbiote Spider-Man was doing incredibly well, but the idea that he's not found a dedicated deck makes sense, so they're giving a little bit more of an incentive. Galactus went from a 6/5 to a 6/6, and I'm sure there are some Galactus fans, rejoicing right now. But, I can't say I love it. I would rather Galactus be gone forever. But that's me. I understand that there are players that like the strategy, and making it a little bit easier, I'm sure, is a big bonus to them. Negasonic Teenage Warhead went from a 3/2 to a 3/3, and this is pretty exciting to me because I do like this card. It's hard to justify it in a deck, especially when Alioth has sort of taken that last turn role really well. I don't know. Maybe we'll see Negasonic creeping into some, Surfer lists again. I could see that. I could also see maybe if you're looking for a lower curve, this just makes sense. Or maybe in, a Jean Grey deck, too. I could possibly see something like that. Black Panther was also changed to a 5/5. And I don't know, dude. This is kind of, I'm not saying that I loved the old Black Panther design, but, now he's just a vanilla 5/10. that's pretty good, especially if you just throw a Forge in your deck or, throw a Nakia or something, then it's, like, really good value. I don't know. I feel like this is gonna shake things up. Hopefully it's not as scary as I think it is, and you play the same, patterns as before, but it just seems like easy value. Like, I like Gamora in my good cards deck because she's essentially an easy 5/12, right? She can get pretty solid value, but maybe I need to switch it up. I don't know. If you throw like 3 extra power on this guy, that's a 5/16, which is really good. So yeah, something to keep in mind. Craven was changed from a 2/2 to a 2/3, and I think this is fair with all the new move cards being so powerful. Craven could use some love. I'm certain of that. And Hercules also got moved to a 3/5 from a 3/4, and I think this makes sense. I think, it's a premium stat line with a pretty good effect, but, it's counterable. It can be affected by your opponent, and yeah, it's random. So I like this. It makes him more in line with a card like Spider-Man. So yeah, OTA, pretty good. But again, mixed feelings. I'm not excited about Galactus. I think the Black Panther change is a little out there, and there's a lot of ups and downs. So, maybe there's something that you'll like in there. For me personally, I didn't get super inspired by any of the changes. I think the closest one is probably Negasonic. That seems interesting to me. And Symbiote Spider-Man, I feel like, is already a good card. So the fact that they're buffing him is just icing on the cake for me. Okay, so Otto's Lab is a new location, and you've probably already seen it. It makes it so that the next card you play here pulls a card to the enemy side from their hand. And this is really interesting. It's like a test on, your deck knowledge. Like, if you're going up against a Hela deck, you do not want to put a card there. You just don't. It's going to be some big card. And the same goes for, if you're playing against a Surfer list, it might be better to play on it early, so that way maybe you disrupt their Silver Surfer or something. It's pretty interesting, and obviously it is a reference to Dr. Octopus. Really, really interesting. I'm not a fan of it, but it puts some dynamicism in the game, which I'm always a fan of. Okay, and last but certainly not least, we had a new card released. It's Scarlet Spider, and Scarlet Spider says, activate, add an exact clone of this to another location, and it's a 4/5. So, what do I think of this card? I love it, dude. I love this card. I feel like this card appeals to me because it is just value, baby. It is just value. Even at its base stats, I mean, it's kind of like a mini Doctor Doom. You get a Doombot, 2 Doombots, to be exact. And having the ability to spread is really nice. It can get into some locations, and yes, there is some randomness, but you know me. I love Hydra Bob, and Hydra Bob's never failed me, okay? That guy gets into the locations that I need him to get into, and I feel like Scarlet Spider is doing the same for me. I made a good cards deck. I threw in, some top-end, Red Hulk. I have some mid guys like Crossbones and Scarlet Spider. And then I have a bunch of really good cards in between, Kate Bishop and stuff. And, dude, I love that deck. It's, I would say I probably need to throw more tech in there to compete with my good stew list. But it's really fun, really consistent. I love it. And I think people also are recognizing that the combo potential of this card is probably a little less than something like, a Black Panther. But it's not a bad replacement, really. You're getting it for cheaper, and that allows you to set up things into it like Nomura. So, yeah, pretty interesting. I do like this card a lot. I predict that people are going to find him a bit mediocre, but I think that's where he needs to be. I don't think that he needs to be some broken, insane card that warps the meta. So yeah, those are my general thoughts on the game. Shorter episode today. I kind of wanted to speed through it, but overall, I'm really happy with where the game's at. I would say to keep your eyes out for next season. The cards that were shown in the development trailer look insane. I would say if you haven't, started saving your caches, this is definitely the time to start putting your nose to the grindstone. That being said, if there's one thing you can remember, it's that I'm InfiNOT. Thanks for listening.